Hello, hello, and welcome to the Color Whisperer Show. Now, if you've been watching this show for a while, you know that the lighting is something that is somewhat of a mystery to me. Look at how great the lighting is today. Guess what? I'm using the exact same lighting I always use. It's so weird. I don't know. Maybe I have to go back and take a lighting class and see what's going on. Now, I do have outdoor sunlight coming in, and today is kind of we call it June gloom here. So it'll be warm this afternoon, but right now it's kind of just a little bit crisp, a little bit cool. So maybe it's like 70, 72 degrees right now. So it's not enough. It's almost enough that I want to put a sweater on, but not quite. It's just kind of nice because I know in about 4 weeks I'm going to be like, it's going to be too hot. But right now it's just kind of crisp, cool mornings. But I can't believe how good the light looks today. So, yay, we've done something good. This is exciting. I don't know what. I don't know if we can replicate it, but it's exciting. I got to I know about lighting a house, but lighting for the camera is a whole different ballgame. So, can you believe how good that color looks? This is amazing. That color on the wall has not looked that good, and you can see the real color on everything. This is amazing. I have to figure out what I did different. I don't know. I don't know. Anyway, all right. So we're going to have a very interesting show today. It's going to be about something that we all go through. It's going to be very personal, but I'm going to tell you a story about one of my clients. And hers is extreme, but we all do this. And so by showing you the extreme, it's a little bit easier for you to see how it is in your house. Because I bet you that you're doing this on some level. So part of today, well, the not part of today's session is going to be about the meaning we give things and how that affects our space, how that affects our energy in the space, and how that affects the energy of the space. So I have a client, and about 30 years ago, she lost a child. Child was a year old, and it was pretty tragic on many levels. And we're not supposed to bury our kids, right? That's just not the way it's supposed to be. And there's a very special anguish around losing a child. It's like the unspeakable, you know? Nobody wants to talk about it. It's a very difficult grief to go through because nobody wants to talk about it because we're not supposed to outlive our kids. And when something so little and so innocent dies, it makes you ask so much bigger questions. And a lot of people don't want to ask those questions. They don't want to go that deep. And then you have people who are parents and like, I don't want like, the thought of it, being able to sympathize, let alone being able to empathize, is too painful for them. I saw that with my dad with my miscarriages. His level of empathy, well, he thought it was sympathizing with me. It wasn't. But that's the thing, is people say the wrong things. And they're not trying to say the wrong things. But for him, a life without kids, he couldn't fathom. He had a bunch. And he grew up one of 9. So for him, for there to not be kids in the house was unfathomable. And he's told me that a lot. And that was his way of sympathizing, I guess. But anyway, we digress. So and a lot of times when there's a death, I see this with a lot of my clients who are widows as well. There's such a huge chunk that gets missing. There's a hole in the heart that's so big. It's so big. It's like the Grand Canyon's a speck of dust compared to this hole. and you have no idea how to feel it. But it's there and it hurts. It's so painful. This deep abyss. And what the natural thing to do, what feels comfortable at the beginning of this grief, is to make a shrine. Now, everybody has a different way of doing that. When I lost my baby, I had a friend who made a necklace for me. And it's a very special necklace to me. And, you know, I didn't have pictures. I didn't have. There's nothing. So the necklace was the only thing I had of that child. But this lady got to hold her baby. And she had pictures. And she had created what was a very nice memorial. But it reeked of a recent death. There was some angel plaques, and there was it very clearly when you walked in the house, you knew this was a dead child. You didn't think, oh, this is a child. And a lot of people have pictures of their kids up on the wall, and maybe there's a picture of their kid at 10 over the fireplace or something like that. And but you can tell that's a monument. It's not a shrine to something that's no longer here. So this you could tell immediately. You walked in the house and you could feel the energy of this house. Oh my goodness. And the sadness around this shrine was so intense. So intense. And I've been there several times. We were working on other things, and I never said anything about that because you could just feel like this. Don't even think about touching this. So I never said nothing. But I could feel it so bad. It was really throwing the energy off in the house. You walk in this house, and it was a house of sadness. And she would complain to me. She's like, I just don't know why I can't heal from this. I do. You have this memorial. It's like having a gravestone be the first thing you see when you walk in the house. And that's going to change the energy. So she recently got married, and I went over there, and she had these plaques that they got for their wedding. Beautiful wood plaques, wonderful things, right? Artwork, true artwork. And they're sitting in her dining room on a table. And I looked at her and I said, these don't belong here. Because this time when I went in, the house was screaming at me. Oh my God, it was yelling at me. It was like, how do I describe this? Imagine, I don't know, there's a cartoon in my head somewhere of this person in the room, and like there's all these voices yelling. I was like, okay, I hear you. I know. I've known this for a long time, but I hear you. And like, you've got to fix this. You've got to fix this. You've got to fix this. I'm like, I hear you. And I had to kind of tell them that several times before they would let me, before they would shut up. I'm like, I got this. Okay. You have to do this. You have to do this. You have to do this. Like, and they're all like, it's like 100 voices all yelling at me. And I'm just like, I don't even know what they're all saying at this point, right? The cacophony is so much. And I just was, I was like, okay, I got this. You can help me, but we got this, okay? We're going to do this. And so, but I knew I still had to be very gentle with this, okay? And so I explained to her, I said, first of all, these don't belong here. She goes, yeah, I do. And I said, well, where were you thinking about putting them? She told me, and I'm like, and she gets the whole, my medicine is this design stuff, and that I hear these voices. So I said, well, Your house has been screaming at me since I came in here. She laughed. And she's like, yeah, I get it. And I said, so, it's very important that you take this as my medicine. And she says, yeah, okay. And I said, would you like to know where these places would like to be? She goes, okay. And I brought her over to the shrine. And I said, this shrine was a very important event in your life. And it's very important for it to be memorialized here. And it's very important to honor this child who was loved so deeply. So, but this child, if he were alive, would not be living here anymore. He'd be off on his own. He'd have a family of his own. He'd be working. He'd be living a very different life. And this energy here is stuck. And it's keeping you stuck. It's keeping you stuck in grief. And I'm just going to let that settle for a minute. She goes, yeah, you're right. I said, this is where these things want to be. They want to express this joyous occasion of your marriage. And all the future that is. I said, we're not going to get rid of the portrait. We're not going to get rid of everything. But it's time for it to change. Let's have the focus when you first walk in the door to be this beautiful event that is your present, that is your today, that is your tomorrow. And this great love, can we celebrate this great love that you now have, that is currently present in your life? And there was silence. And she sighed. And then she very slowly reached out. She took the picture off the wall. I'd like to tell you that I was smart enough that I knew she had to do it in that moment. I think in that moment, see, this is where the whispering comes in. There's just things I intuitively know. In hindsight, it had to be her to take that picture down. I didn't know what was going to happen when I approached this. I knew I had to approach it gently. I knew I had to approach it with care, with love, and holding space for her. And I even told her that. I said, we're going to do this together. I'm going to hold space for you as we do this. You're not doing this by yourself. I'm here with you, shouldering the burden, because this is a tough job to do. And it's not one you can do alone. So I honored that grief in her. I honored that this was a humongous task. While others, just take the picture off the wall. It's easy, it's light, da, da, da. It's not. She even said, this picture is so heavy. Her mind, it was heavy, but what was heavy was the grief. That's what was heavy, was the grief. Had a nice wood frame around it, but it was, I've hung heavy pictures. This was not a heavy picture. But it was heavy for her to lift it. It was heavy for her to move through that stage of grief and say, I'm ready to let this grow up. I'm ready to move on, to focus on another part of my life. I'm ready to say goodbye to this baby and let this baby become an adult. Hey, Mark, what's going on?
Not much. You're doing a great job, but I had put a question out there that actually is related to what you're talking about because it was one of our previous shows. I put it out there on TikTok, and I heard from my cousin and everything. So I'm gonna read what I wrote, and then I'm gonna read what she wrote because I think it plays into what you're talking about and everything. So I played one of our past clips because you can cut these into clips, and I said, "Do certain colors make you feel better when you are not feeling well? What colors lift you up when you are under the weather?" And all along those lines. And my cousin Marcia Richardson wrote back, and she said, "Absolutely." And not just when I don't feel well physically. If I'm down for any reason, grays, purples, plums, blues are my go-to colors that raise my chakra energy. I intentionally will put on a soft gray top to give myself a hug. So that's what she said, and that's my first cousin that wrote that and everything like that. So I just thought I'd share that with you because that was her answer to the survey that I put out there. Because I put it out as a poll question, and I did get a response from my cousin, Miss Marcia Richardson. So she was saying those colors make her feel good if she's down for any reason. So she said grays, purples, plums, blues are her go-to. And then she said that those raise her chakra industry, and then she'll put on a soft gray top if she wants to give herself a hug.
Well, very cool. I will go over that when I get finished with my story.
Okay, sorry.
But, let me get back to my story.
Get back to your story. I'm sorry.
All right. So she took the picture down, and then she held it to her and hugged it. And that all of each little step in this was so important. And then she started looking for another place to put it. Now, I was already going to put it someplace else, and I had a couple spots in mind, and we were going to go through that. But before I could even get there, there was a nail in the wall that was already there. And she was, "This is where he goes." And she very carefully put him on top of that nail and hung him on the wall. And we both just sat there for a minute, feeling, listening. And you could feel the energy in the room shift. And we looked at him. He had a smile on his face because it's a baby picture, right? But the smile seemed to be more real. The smile, it was forced before. There was a sadness around it before. By putting in this new place, you could feel how much happier the picture was. You could feel how much happier the room was. And we just sat there, and I looked at her and I said, "He's happier there. Can you feel it?" She's into energy stuff. She goes, "Yeah, Jeanette." In fact, she's like, she had been feeling for a while that he needed to be closer to another picture on the wall that was of another person that was very dear to her and had kind of a motherly role for her. And by proxy, this has a grandmotherly role for this child. And I said, "Why don't we let her take care of him for a while?" She goes, "Yeah, he likes that." Like, yeah, he does. He really does. He's very happy being closer to her. And again, we just sat in that moment and let it unfold. Because sometimes what gets said in the silence is so much bigger than what gets said with words. My ex and my adopted sister used to say that in my family, there was a secret language that they didn't know. But my family knew it, and we said a lot without talking. I don't know. I feel a lot. There's a lot of things I do feel. And there's a lot of messages I get in silence. And I can't say they're lying because that's their experience. And I do know that there are a lot of things that I just generally feel. And I know them to be true. And I never realized that, we did it as a family. But this was a very auspicious moment. It was a very brave moment for her. Incredibly brave for her. This thing had been there for 34 years. It's a long time. And to say, it's time. It's time to make this change. It was huge. And see, when I first asked her where she wanted to put the plaques, the wedding plaques, she didn't even consider that space. Because what happens oftentimes when we have a house or any living environment is we put something up and we don't think about moving it ever again. Oh, that's where it belongs. We don't think about changing things. And what happens is when there's chaos in a space, we get used to it. We get used to the mess. How many people have a messy desk? Oh, that's just the way it is. Is it? Now, some people that work, some people that doesn't work. Does it need to be as messy? Do you have paper? My ex, oh my gosh, used to have receipts from Baja Fresh that were 3 years old on his desk, and I'd go clean it up. Like, dude, you don't need this. What is that hanging out there for? Oh my gosh. And get so mad at me. I'm like, do you really need a Baja Fresh receipt that's 5 years old? What the hell? But that piece of paper meant something to him, and it was his. It didn't matter. He didn't need it. It didn't matter. It was 5 years old. It didn't matter that it had absolutely no worth on this planet whatsoever. Even if it was used for taxes, which it wasn't, that would have been long gone. But we get used to clutter in our lives. Somebody gave you a present. Somebody, you put it up. I've told a story about my client with the ducks. And everybody gave her these cutesy little ducks, and she was not a cutesy little duck woman. But she put it on a fireplace. So the message to the world was, I like these cutesy little ducks. So people kept giving her cutesy little ducks. And I told her, just tell them it was my fault. Throw them away, give them away. I don't care. If you don't want them, get them out of here. Blame me. We get used to, it's like the boiling frog thing, right? You put a frog in water and you slowly turn the water up, and he doesn't notice until next thing you know, he's like dead because the water's too hot. And that's what happens in our homes with clutter and with things that don't mesh with our energy. Is they literally come after our energy. They create chaos. They drain our energy. And this example is so easy to see, right? But I guarantee you've got something in your house that's draining your energy, and you didn't think about moving it because, oh, well, I got it from Aunt Sue. That's where maybe Aunt Sue came over and said, oh, it'll be perfect right here. For Aunt Sue, it was perfect. It may not be perfect for you. Maybe even your spouse gave you something. I mean, it's nice to think our spouses always know us and know what to give us, but let's face it, they don't. My mother, I used to tease my mom. I said, Mom, you're 100% with gifts. She says, what does that mean? I said, you either buy me stuff I absolutely love or I really don't like it at all. Either way, it was 100%. Never in the middle. 100% all the way. It's okay to get rid of that stuff that's 100% not you. And it's okay to think about moving stuff. Now, that shrine had been such an integral part of her being for so long. She wouldn't think about moving it. Because that also challenged her faith and her belief in herself and her own bravery. What she did that day took a ton of bravery. So we got the other picture. We got the picture hung up on the wall. And there was maybe like 10 objects in this thing. And a couple of them, I'm like, okay, we can keep those. They weren't, they fit with the plaques, you know, and it wasn't like a total destruction of everything, right? So I knew that that would help, that we're keeping some of it. And then some of it, I reached out, took out the next piece that needed to come down. And I slowly gave it to her. And I did the next one. I gave it to her and she slowly put it away. And I gave her another one. She's like, this is special to me. I said, yes, I know. It was something handmade, beautiful, done. I said, yeah, that's special. I agree. Where can we put it? She said, oh, let's put it on this. You know, there's nails. There's all these nails on the wall that were not used. And she put it on one. I said, no, how about there's a nail right over there. Let's put it on that nail. She said, oh, yes, that's wonderful. So she got to honor the pieces that were still important to her. We didn't destroy it. We just made it not a shrine anymore. She still got to honor both of these things. And then we started putting up the new picture. And one of them didn't have a hook on the back. It didn't have anything to hang with. And I said, she's like, oh, we'll go to the store later today. And I said, no, I'm doing this. I'm doing this. Like, I have to go to the store. I'll go to the store. But this is happening today. Funny how quickly she found them, the right tools. And it's some resistance, and it's just part of the grief. It's just part of the grief. But this is one of the things I'm very good at, is holding the space, because it's giving them the courage to do what their heart really wants to do. But it's too much. You know, after my dad died, I got so much stuff in this house. Oh my God. I'm like, I know this stuff. I preach this stuff. I do this stuff for other people. And I couldn't go through it by myself. It was too much. There's emotions attached to things. That picture that was too heavy. She said, oh no, it's such a heavy picture. It's heavy with grief. You have something in your home, whether it be a picture, a little juicy duck, whatever it is, and it's heavy. Not physically heavy, it's emotionally heavy. And if it's too heavy, it needs to be dealt with. Whether we move it, whether we throw it away, give it away. We don't want anything in our environment that is heavy like that. Doesn't mean you can't have something chunky. You know, I like chunky. I like having lots of texture. I like having stuff that's bold, right? Doesn't mean you can't have something that physically is heavy in your house. But if it's emotionally heavy, you need to look at it, because it's telling you something. Just like this shrine was talking to this lady. So we found the right tools, and there was 2 plaques we had to put up. So we'll put up the first one. And first of all, just getting everything down, I had to give it a minute and let it feel. The house needed it. The house sigh. You could feel the exhale of, I've been holding this weight for so long. There's been so much sadness. There's been so much, I'm just holding tight, holding on. It was gone. I could feel the house just let go and breathe. And it needed a couple breaths. I don't actually hear a breath. I just feel this. I don't know how to describe it. Like my husband said, it's just there. That's That's my normal. I don't know any different. And I let her feel the energy start to swirl around, because as the house exhaled, the energy started moving again. This stuck energy. It was like this. Oh, and it's like tears that wouldn't come out, right? You know how you just want to cry, and you're all pent up, and you can't cry. So maybe you go watch a really sad movie or play a really sad song to try to allow those tears to come, but they won't come. When you have that abyss, that deep, dark hole that makes the Grand Canyon look like a speck of dust, how do you feel it? It's so hard because you feel like if you start crying, it's gonna be like the Princess Bride. You know, when Humperdinck goes in and does the 80, puts it up to 80 years, and Fezzig's out there, and he goes, they hear him scream, that guttural scream. There's a silent scream, which is so much, it's 10 times louder, 10 times more painful, 100 times more painful than that scream. But what did Fezzik say? Fezzik, the giant, he says, I know the sound of that pain. Well, it wasn't. It was the swordsman. He says, I know the sound of that pain. That's where we must go. We must follow the sound of pain. We must follow the sound of pain. Wow. And that's what this shrine was, the sound of pain. That silent scream, 100 times worse than that scream they heard in the forest. So loud that there's no decibel, because if you open it up, it will swallow you whole and there's nothing left of you. If you open it up, you'll never stop crying. If you open it up, there's no end. This deep, deep, deep abyss. But all of that was dissipating. That hole was getting filled up with light, with love. We're putting this expression of this incredible event of their marriage in its place. And it's still, when you're in that level of grief, it is hard to let go of it. So I had to go through this whole process with her slowly. I had to take my time. She told me, other people told her, oh, you just need to take this down. They didn't. Her mother had told her, you need to take this down. But there's a big difference between you need to take this down and I'm going to walk through the woods with you. I'm going to give you the strength. I'm going to be there as your heart screams out in pain. You don't have to go through this pain alone. I'm going to give you the strength to face this pain. We are going to do this together so that we can fill in this space with love. I didn't just give her support. I helped to fill in the space with love, because it was taken down with love. And when I'm in that space, when I'm in healing mode, which I definitely was, this is healing design, healing by design. My job at that point is nothing but unconditional love and filling that space as much as I physically can with love, so that they have the ability to heal. They have the courage to do what's necessary to take the next step, to move forward. Now, there's a lot of healing this lady's done over 34 years. I wasn't the magic pill. I'll be honest with you. I was a step on this ladder. It was a huge, huge step. a huge step, and one that I'm uniquely skilled at doing. This is one of my gifts. I get a lot of clients where, a parent has died of, a parent has died, and they're recreating, and there's something there that they got to honor. A spouse has died, or even divorce. Divorce doesn't mean there's no grief. It's just there's grief in divorce too. A dream still died. A life still died. So we put up the first one. I could start feeling magic happening. We put the second one up. And I was like, oh, you could feel, instead of the stuck energy like this, with a silent scream, it was just moving around, right? You could feel the circle. It was moving. It was so beautiful. And I had to sit on the couch and just revel in it for a few minutes. And she started picking up some stuff, and I'm like, I'll get to that. I'm sorry. I just have to listen to your home, because her home was talking. It was so happy. When I came in, it was screaming. Now it was all this chatter, all this laughter, all these grins. I was so happy. But I also had to listen to see, am I done? Is it over? Is there more that needs to be done? And there were some candles as part of this shrine. And I kept the candles there. It was kind of cool. They were fun. It was a nice thing to have there. It worked with the plaques. It was all good. But I asked her, I said, what's the story with the candles? Because those candles have got to go. So the candles belonged, they were old. They were like, the candles were like 40 years old, she said. I'm like, okay, old energy. That's what I'm picking up. But I picked up even more. Those candles were part of the first shrine that this child had. There had been several houses, several moves, but those candles were part of that first shrine. See, this is the whispering part. I don't know what I'm picking up on. I just know it needs to be different when it's time for it to be different. A year ago, she wouldn't have let me do any of this. There's no way, there's no how. Would not have happened. But she was ready. And she had this other huge momentous thing in place to take its place. Because there's nothing that can fight great grief as well as great joy. So she said, okay, I'll replace the candles. They were going to go buy candles that day. I said, okay, fine. That one I'll let them do. It wasn't a big, I got the energy moving. Her husband came and saw it, and he's like, okay, I'll go buy candles. Like, I know he'll do it. He had it. You could feel it. So I knew that part was going to happen. And just by the time we were done, the energy in the house felt so good. You walked in the door, and instead of feeling sadness, you felt joy. And the whole house was just, the more I sat there, the more this energy started moving. There's more and more joy in the house. I can't wait to talk to her and see her next time and see how different she is. Because she's going to be different. She's going to be different. She's going to feel lighter. Because she's not having this constant reminder of this deep, dark abyss. She's not going to be stuck every time she walks by the picture, feeling that grief, that deep, dark abyss. Now, every time she walks by, she's going to get a dose of joy. And this is why it's so important to have things in your house that make you feel joyful. If cutesy ducks aren't your thing, throw them away. If you've got a picture, now just because you have a picture of someone who's passed away, that doesn't mean it's bad energy. This was a mausoleum kind of shrine, and it wasn't good energy. We still have a picture of him on the wall. There's good energy there because it wasn't a baby shrine anymore. It was here's somebody I loved who's no longer with me. You know? I got dead people on my walls. I think we all do some way. You know? You get to a certain age, there's somebody dead on your walls. That's a wonderful thing to honor them. A lot of people take their hallway and make it a family wall. And yeah, there's people that are no longer there, and we need to honor them and remember them. And that's okay. It's all about the energy of the space. And what is it doing for you? How do you feel every time you walk by it? Do you walk by and go, oh, that's Grandma Jo. I miss her so much. And oh, do you feel sad every time you walk by? Or do you go, oh, I'm so lucky to have Grandma Jo in my life? Hey, Mark.
No, just thinking about everything you were talking about because actually two things came to my mind, and actually one involves the person that I just talked about and everything like that. But yes, my mom has one of those walls that you're talking about. If you go to her bedroom at her house in Rocky Mount, North Carolina, there's a wall of photographs and everything. And yes, there are some of us that are still around, like me and my brother and my cousins, but there are definitely pictures of people that have moved on, like my grandparents and stuff like that. But it is just a wall of memories. It's not necessarily, as you were saying, a negative wall, but it's just a wall of like photographs. So it's kind of like what a mom has assembled of different photographs and everything like that. And it is sometimes interesting to walk by that wall and see the folks, including some that have passed on. There's a part that I didn't tell you about Miss Marcia, my cousin, and everything is that, and that's a good question. I don't know the answer to this. I might have to find out the next time we have some family discussions whether they have a shrine in the positive sense or a shrine in the negative sense. Because I think, as I've told you before, I am the oldest of 11 cousins. The only cousin that has passed away, knock on wood, so far is actually one of my younger cousins who died in childbirth, and that was actually Marcia, who I read her quote and everything, younger sister. She's not the youngest, but I think she was the next to the youngest sister because I think Verna is younger than her and everything like that. So she was definitely relatively young when she died in childbirth, and it's the only cousin that I have lost so far in terms of my first cousins and all along those lines. So definitely, I'm sure that they probably have, to your point, some memories of Sarah, their sister, my cousin, somewhere in their house, but I don't know what those are and whether they are over reflective and maybe too much of an image. I'm thinking not knowing my cousins and everything, but they probably do have at least a picture of her somewhere. And I do know that she had children that are still now young adults. So her legacy has lived on. 'Cause like I said, she passed in childbirth, but not before she had children already and everything like that. So she actually.
Yeah, I mean, it's everybody deals with grief a different way, and there's not like, I know that people chastise this lady and saying, oh, she's doing grief the wrong way, but the thing is, it's a path, and there's only one way, and that's you have to go through it. Right. And a lot of people avoid it, and a lot of people, but it is a healing process, and 34 years is a long time, and I don't know if she's done, but she's taken a major step. And the thing is, I mean, it's been 2014. It's been 11 years since I had my miscarriage, and there's still times when, like, some people like memorialize dates, and like I don't do that. I don't want to remember death dates, but I'll find myself in February, and I'm like, I'm really sad this week, or I'm really sad today, and then I'll look at the calendar and go, okay, that's why. I do the same thing around the same time my mom died, and it's like, okay, so that grief is in our bodies, it's in our cells, and our cells remember. So it's okay to, when I have those sad moments, I just like, hi mama, I'll talk to her, or it's her birthday, and I'm like, what's this feeling I've got? Oh, okay. It's just what I learned a long time ago is when we have these feelings, they're just coming to say hi. It's not about really about our grief. It's about how do we communicate. When you've got a woman has a baby in her belly, there's communication, and it's not the way you and I talk, but there's communication there, and there's communication on the other side too. It's just different. And so in February, when I get the little, oh, I go look at the calendar, and then I just talk to him. And that's a moment where I could sit there and cry and cry and cry and cry. And no, I just talk to him. And that, I think, at least for me, is a happier way to deal with the grief. Some people need to cry. This lady, it took her a long time to get this far. And and so as long as you are making some kind of action to go through the grief, there's not a wrong way. It's everybody has their own way of getting through it. When you deny those feelings, when you deny going through it and you hide from the grief, that I would say is wrong. But as long as you are making some kind of progress on the grief, everybody has their own path.
Everybody's got their own way of doing that, of dealing with their situations, whatever those situations may be, and everything like that. So, yeah, definitely folks have different ways of dealing with it. As a matter of fact, I was just talking to Dad because he just had cataract surgery, and he was talking about that whole aging process. And as he put it, none of us have like super extended warranties. We all have something that will definitely cause us to have a demise of one sort or another at some point or another along those lines. And it's actually coming up on another couple of months. That's why I'm curious to see what my cousins have to remember Sarah, because it was actually 14 years ago that she passed away. Because she passed away in 2011 after she had been born in '78. So like I said, she was a young child when she passed away. Like I said, it definitely was that like early 30s, if I'm doing my math and everything correctly. So she's definitely been gone now. Next year will be 15 years since she's passed away and everything like that.
I saw a quote, and this is so accurate. They say that time heals everything, and that time heals the grief. And they made it sound like time fills in that gap. Time doesn't fill in the gap.
Right.
What fills in the gap, your heart gets bigger. That hole is always going to be there. It's just the heart gets bigger so that hole isn't as expansive. And as you find new things, this man, he lost his wife and mother. He had a brand new baby to take care of, and he lost his wife, and he had other kids. I mean, wow. He when you have something like that, it's a support system. There's a lot of things that fall apart in a situation like that. And, some people choose, okay, I'm never going to get married again. This is it. I've had the love of my life. That's it. Some people are like, in a case of divorce, it's, I ain't doing that again. I got burned bad. I'm not going down that road again. But he had kids, and did he get remarried?
I'm trying to remember if Sarah's husband got remarried. I think I'd have to double check with my family tree. I don't want to tell you the answer and be wrong and everything just because I don't know.
My guess is he probably did.
I think he did, but I just don't want to say that and be wrong. But I think that I do remember hearing him get
married. Men particularly, when they've lost a spouse, the statistics are that, especially if it's a long-term marriage,
Mhm.
that within a year there's either another partner or they die,
Right,
or there's something else that gives them purpose.
right.
Men particularly need purpose. Now, your what is
Cousin,
he?
my
Your
cousin's
cousin.
the one. My cousin's the one.
So so he had purpose with kids, but I suspect he needed help. Now I know somebody, his wife died in childbirth, and his mom stepped in and was a huge help.
And that's
And
what happened with my aunt. My aunt did help with, even though they lived in Florida. I think at the time that they passed, there were some people that were involved in the raising of the children, and I'm sure that my aunt has helped because she's in Hollister and she still is involved. So that's probably who I would call if I was going to get the full details. But yeah, Sarah is the one female cousin who has passed away. Like I said, she was 32 when she passed, and that was in childbirth, as I recall, and everything like that. And though that child now is getting ready to be nearly that was 2011, so that was getting ready to be in their early 20s and everything. The child that was born at that particular time and everything. And then they've got children in their, I want to say, late 20s and early 30s.
so
Actually, I did the
we're
math.
not meant to be alone,
They
and
were
we're
actually,
not meant to raise families alone. It takes a village, right?
yeah.
And I mean, in my case, my father died when I was a year old. My dad stepped in, my uncle stepped in, and he took care of us. And so it looked, on the surface like a regular normal family, but we weren't. And that was my normal. So the thing is, people, we're not meant to do this all by ourselves. We're meant to have support. We're meant to have family. And
It's that whole notion of it takes a nation.
only from the ether side, we have that, but we're not meant to be on this journey alone.
No, not at all. And to do my math correctly, if she passed in 2011, 2025, then that child would actually be a teenager. So they would not be a young adult. They'd be like in their teen years now, like a little bit younger than my nephews, because my nephews are about to be 16 and 17 in um, August. And I know one was born in 2008, the other was born in 2009. So they're about to be 16 and 17. So, yes, they're I guess that'd be their second cousin, if I'm remembering cousin math correctly and everything. They would be about 2 years younger than them, so they'd be about 14 or 13, something that I mean. And I think it was just one child. I don't think it was twins, but yeah, they'd be. He would be. I think it was a boy. I think he'd be around 14 or 13.
Okay. Well, why don't we close this down? I want to say a few more words, and then let's do some Kindu Spice.
Yeah,
And
let's just say a few more words, and we'll get to the whole thing with Marsha and the plum on another thing. But it was when you were talking about healing that reminded me of, and you also talking about chakra, which is the reason that I popped in earlier. But I understand that you wanted to finish the story, and the story was a very powerful story. So that was my apologies for butting in at the wrong time. But definitely, but that's where I was going with the chakra and everything. But we can get back to that, and I'll post some
we'll do
other,
that next time.
and hopefully,
That's a fun topic. We'll do that next time. I didn't know how long today's was going to go, but I got really into it, so it
no
took the
problem.
whole hour.
Well, I'm gonna pop off and let you have your wrapping words, and then whenever you tell me to play Kindred Spices, we'll play Kindred Spices.
Sounds good. So I want you to look around your house and really feel what's got good energy and what doesn't. And if you need help, I can be there virtually with you. I also have a program where we can do half an hour and I can look around your house and tell you what energy is good and what energy is not good. And we can work on that. If you're not sure, you can go to thecolorwhisperer.com and it's under create your sacred space. Because that's what it's all about. We're supposed to have a space here that helps us, that nurtures us, that helps us to thrive. This I don't think I was with this lady for a whole hour doing this. But this is what I thrive on. Being able to help people make breakthroughs. This one was huge. Some of them are big, some of them are not so big. This is truly the secret to whispering. This is my why in the world. I'm not just making homes pretty. I'm healing people. I'm healing homes. And it's so beautiful when you sit in a home and you feel this energy shift. You could see she was glowing at the end. The joy was contagious. And it's just going to keep evolving and keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. So I invite you to create your sacred space. Whether you do it with me or without, really look around. What's not serving you? And if you need some help, I'll be there to help. And if you're going through grief and you just need somebody to hold your hand, I can do that. And I think the hardest thing when you're going through grief is to reach out for help. It's okay. You've got to reach out for help. That's part of how you get through it. All right. Thank you for listening today. I really appreciate it. It was something I was very passionate about, obviously. And I wish you the best in your house and creating your sacred space. All right. Let's go get some Kendu spice and create some sacred space inside.
You know how people love to enjoy food and don't understand how to flavor their food or how to replicate a meal? They're interested in supplements but don't know where to begin? Well, what I do is I take the guesswork out of enjoying flavor and wellness with my flavorful spice blends so that they can create delicious meals with healing benefits. Kendu Spice was created to help cooks at any level.
What happened? I don't know if we're on air or not. We were in the middle of a Kendu Spice commercial and it stopped. If you haven't had Kendu Spice, you've got to try it. It's so good. And it really does help you on many levels. The ashwagandha is really good. All those spices are really good. It appears we're still recording. I wonder where Mark is.
You know how people love to enjoy food and don't understand how to flavor their food or how to replicate a meal? They're interested in supplements but don't know where to begin? Well, what I do is I take the guesswork out of enjoying flavor and wellness with my flavorful spice blends so that they can create delicious meals with healing benefits. Kendu Spice was created to help cooks at any level enjoy healing through food. Every spice blend was designed to give added health benefits of natural herbs. Every blend is complete. There's no need to add any additional spice for a delicious meal. Saving you time and money while adding supplements to your meals can be both tasty and fun. My earliest memories in the kitchen began with my father, Kenny Kendu Bond, so it was fitting that I would name this line after him. I have always looked to natural remedies to supplement the body, and I found myself hiding herbs and minerals in foods for my family. That's when it hit me. Everyone needs Kendu Spice. Everyone should be having this. It's an exclusive brand for cooks at any level who want to create flavorful dishes with healing benefits that can satisfy the body and soul. Add a little spice to your life. Give Kendu Spice a try.